The composition of the Meadow Lake Tribal Council is we have 5 Cree nations and we have 4 Dene nations. We cover 3 treaties. We cover Treaty 8, 10, and 6.
We have approximately 16,000 members within the Meadow Lake Tribal Council, and our traditional territory encompasses northwestern Saskatchewan, over partially into Alberta and a little bit into the Northwest Territories is the traditional lands that our 9 nations have lived on and performed traditional activities on for the last 1,000 or so years.
Back in the day when I was working as an employment officer and also a training officer with the Meadow Lake Tribal Council, one of the things that they did was a survey in terms of what the First Nations are going to be doing in terms of capacity building. And so they looked at 10 sectors back in 1987. And at the same time, there was an opportunity for the Tribal Council to acquire the sawmill that was in the area. So that was a beginning, I guess, the afterthought by the leadership that was in place at that time.
MLTC Industrial Investments is the business arm of the Meadow Lake Tribal Council. It has active interests in forestry, agriculture, the communications industry, hospitality industry, petroleum products, renewable energy, and wanting to engage across the entire spectrum of the Saskatchewan economy. Meadow Lake Tribal Council is well known across Canada for its leading role in forestry. It was one of the first investors in the forestry sector back in the 80s, and since that time has become the sole owner of North Sask Forest Products, and today owns Northwind Forest Products, a specialty wood products manufacturer with exports into the US. The North Sask sawmill exports about 60 million board feet into the US market, and recently added to the portfolio is the MLTC Bioenergy Center, which produces green energy, and we also produce industrial heat to assist the North Sask operations.
Forestry exists where most Indigenous people live, right, in the unpopulated areas of our provinces. But if you look in BC and Alberta, Indigenous people participating in forestry are 5 and 7%. In Saskatchewan, Indigenous people participating in forestry is at about 31%. But when you come to the Meadow Lake Tribal Council in our traditional territory, we were hitting at 72% Indigenous employment.
My name is Kristen Mistik and I'm from Waterhen Lake, Saskatchewan. I'm a truck driver for Waterhen Lake Forestry for the past 3 years. I've been hauling logs. It's a great opportunity and it's challenging and it pays good and it's not always the same every day. It's different and you expect different things every day. Being a woman in this industry, it's overwhelming at first, but at the same time, it feels like an accomplishment.
My name is Bill Murray. I'm a member of the Canoe Lake Cree Nation and I'm the manager of Waterhen Forestry Products, LP. It's always important to train your people, and MLTC is, as far as I'm concerned, is doing a good job training their people. In the past, they did a lot of training on heavy equipment training, so I gave them a little twist and do a forestry training. We started March 20th. We've got 8 students, all First Nation from different communities, different band members. At the end of the program, 100% of them should have a job in forestry after they're done.
I'm Roxanne Martel. I'm from Waterhen Lake First Nations. I am a heavy equipment operator for Waterhen Lake Forestry. I know when I drive by that mill, I'm like, I had a role in that, you know. Our company had a role in that. You know, I just think of the bigger picture and how everything's connected and rotating, and we're creating employment and we're bringing money into our communities.
The Tribal Council, through its businesses, has direct employment of over 600 people. And this, of course, with a multiplier effect, translates into probably well over 2,000 individuals across the forestry sector and across the Saskatchewan economy.
The Meadow Lake Tribal Council has grown over the past 40 years. I think we generated revenues of around 68 million 4 or 5 years ago. We're now at 148 million. That working together, that building on business, that business expansion is all coming together and is causing economic development in our region.
Our industrial investments impacts our community through own source revenue. What I mean, own source revenue coming back to the First Nations.
When you have either a wholly owned company or a partnership company, at the end of the year, like any business venture, they determine what they have available for distributions to the shareholders. All of those dividends are paid back to RDI, which is a board made up of the tribal executive, the 9 chiefs, and a couple of external members. And they make a decision about how much remains to go into future investment and how much gets sent back to each of the individual nations.
Some of the benefits I see in the communities, I see paved roads, I see arenas, a powwow arbor, seeing youth centers being put up, community halls, fitness centers, the list goes on and on. These facilities would have taken years and years of lobbying, and if you're waiting for somebody else to build them, you might wait forever and ever. You know, when you got money coming in through your businesses, it gives you that opportunity, that creativity to put yourself in the driver's seat and do the things that are important to your community.
I describe our successes not solely as financial successes. I look at it as how have we looked after Mother Earth? In the case of the forestry, which we're big in. For when we bring the log into our yard, we use about 60 to 70% on the lumber. Then we use about 25 to 28% at the biomass. That's 98% to 99% of the log being used. That's covering our footprint and looking after what we've taken from Mother Earth. We're looking after it, making sure that we're not wasting Mother Earth's resources, making sure we're using it to the fullest. To me, that's success.
I think in itself, the legacy is where people are working, people are providing for their families, continuously making benchmarks in not only regionally, but across the nation, even for the children that see it, because once they see it, they'll be able to be mentored through that and go on and to get better. The leadership, I believe, has laid down the foundation for anything that comes up. Kudos to the Tribal Council, the people of the Council, the First Nations of the Council, because it is their award. It's not only the Meadow Lake Tribal Council, but it's the people's award.
It's going to be a huge blessing for our communities, and it's also going to be a recognition of over 40 years of tribal leadership and staff working together on a collective vision and continuing to move that vision forward.
We are very honored to be recognized for being one of the top Indigenous businesses in Canada.
Kudri datu Norel tare, Erilion dana, Edini bits isi, Edini bada atalad now, Edini datu Yahanin Thursday, Ayantese datu, Don't holy, Ayabaga host tisi, dane that day, the Meadow Lake Tribal Council, Erilion notes isi, I don't have no hunting, Marcy Choke.